Hey, and welcome back. Today we'll be checking out an electric drum set that was sent to me by Donner. It wasn't that long ago that Donner products were looked at as more of toys than instruments, but over the last few years, I think they've really stepped up their game, so I was excited when they asked if I would have an interest in checking out their DED 500 drum set. Alright, let's dig in. From one giant box to a bunch of tiny boxes. Okay, this must be like the owner's manual. Alright, pretty basic stuff. Installation instructions. And then this one is a separate manual for the sound module. After trying a couple other kits with very limited brain functionality in the sound module, this looks like it has a number of features. That's exciting. Oh, and this must be some exclusive software that you get to use, or a DAW, a digital audio workstation, a recording software. Pair of drumsticks, 5A, standard issue. They're really not that nice, but I almost don't know if that would matter that much on an electric kit. It's nice that they include them because I sort of hate when you buy something and then you have to find a bunch of accessories you need even just to use it. So, nice touch. Here is the hi-hat pedal. Now, one thing I was actually excited about with trying this electric kit based on another one I tried previously is this doesn't have the whole hi-hat stand with the cymbals that actually move up and down. That seems like it would be a nicer feature, but after trying that out and not having it feel nearly as good compared to my actual acoustic hi-hats, I was excited to try something more conventional and familiar like this, just to see if that's the same or maybe even better. Here's our sound module. So from first glance, this looks to have a bit more features and adjustments than some of the previous ones I've got to play. It actually has faders to, I'm assuming, adjust the volume of the independent voices of the kit, which is really nice because even if you can do it with a dial and a button, sometimes that could be tedious going through these small LCD screens and going through a bunch of different layers just to change one feature. So it's nice to have a bunch of different knobs here for adjusting different parameters without having to do it all on just one singular knob. Another thing I noticed too that I've seen on other kits that is kind of surprising is all of the inputs here are on the back, including headphones, USB, because if that stuff's on the front and this is facing you, those cables can kind of get in the way, get tangled, or maybe even pull out. So good design there. We've got all of the cables, it looks like, for plugging in the independent pads. And that seems to be one cable that kind of looms out into a bunch of inputs. So that's nice. A bunch of Velcro straps, and of course, a power supply. We've got all of the drum pads, I assume. Now, I'm not sure yet if this is the snare or one of the tom pads, but from first glance, this is high quality stuff. It's got an actual shell. It's got triple flange hoops with rubber rim protectors. So I don't want to say looks like a real drum, but looks a lot closer to a real drum than those pads you get on, you know, a lot of older kits where it's just a black surface with no depth. Yeah, this is nice. Here are our cymbal mounts. Nothing too spectacular here. There's limited functionality with angles and booming it because even though there is a boom here, I don't think you can adjust here to change the angle. So you're really kind of only using this like a top pivot tilter on a cymbal stand. So we have one for the crash, one for the ride, and one for the hi-hat since they don't sit on a stand. And then also in that box, we've got 4 L-arms, I'm guessing to connect all 4 pads for the snare drum and the 3 toms. I really like the L-arm style mount because not only can you bring it further in and out with the depth adjustment, but then you can change the angle side to side as well as up to down on the rack clamp. But then you can also get extended height through this rod. And some other kits where I've seen where it's more like a horizontal piece that slides into the pad, that's pretty much all you get with height. So I'm excited to try these. Here's our kick tower, and it comes fully assembled, which is nice. this bar here to attach your pedal to with a little bit of angle adjustment. And it's got some spikes here on the back to keep it in place. And what I really like is that it's heavy, so hopefully it won't move around on the floor. It's definitely like a mesh head, but it's got some sort of cushion or resistance in here. So this feels similar to an actual bass drum head, which you'd usually keep pretty loose. So that's nice. All right, here we've got 2 cymbal pads, and these must be the Ride and Crash, I'm guessing. So these are both the same model. Each of them has 2 triggers within it, so dual zone, I'm guessing, which is probably on the face of the cymbal and on the edge of the cymbal. So maybe the other one is a ride pad. We'll see. Nope, this is the same pad as well. So all 3 of these are the same cymbal pad. They're also a nice size. My guess is 10 or 12 inches. Here's our kick drum pedal, double chain actually, which is kind of surprising. What I really love is this. It has a kind of ribbed rubber bottom instead of Velcro, because in my experience as a gigging drummer, once you put that pedal down and it's stuck to the rug, it's going to try to rip up the rug with it when you move it. And especially when you're getting set up, you might need to tweak the angle or move a pedal a little bit, and that's always a pain when there's Velcro on the bottom. So this is a really nice pedal at first glance. So we've got a few of these, what I'm guessing are horizontal rack bars to mount the different pads and cymbals to. Clamp mounts here are plastic, which I don't know if I need to be worried, but it'd be nice if they were metal, but I understand they have to save money somewhere. But these bars are very strong. I don't know if it's steel, but it's definitely metal. And then we've got 5 different bar clamps. I'm guessing 4 of these are for the pad and 1 of them is probably for the brain. One thing that you may not think about, but I really like, is these 2 of these vertical supports also have clamp attachments at the top, and that's where you put your 2 cymbals. All right, I'm in a room full of boxes now, so I am going to manage a little bit of this, and then I'll check back in with you and we'll get this set up. So after cleaning out all of the boxes and packing material these drums were shipped in, I could move on to assembling this kit. If you don't have experience setting up electric drum sets like this, it might be a tad overwhelming at first, because the order of operations can be important for getting each part of the frame together and all of the brackets in their correct place. Luckily, this rack is pretty easy to work with, and every connecting joint has thumb screws in place to secure everything, eliminating the need for any tools to get it assembled. Again, if you're new at this, I'd suggest referencing the manual, which has a few words to help clarify, but mostly just pictures to demonstrate where pieces go, much like IKEA furniture. Once the frame is together, you can insert the ride and crash stands into the 2 tallest vertical tubes, and after that, you can start adding clamps for the snare, 2 rack toms, floor tom, hi-hats, and the brain. Once the clamps are in place and secured to the horizontal bars, you can bring in all of the L-arms for the drum pads, along with the cymbal stands for the hi-hats. At this point, adding drum pads and cymbals is much the same process as their acoustic counterparts, so this should feel familiar to drummers coming from that sort of background. There's a lot of flexibility with positioning, so for a taller person like myself, I was really happy that I could get all of these drums and cymbals at similar heights that I would have them set at on my acoustic kit. After adding both the bass drum and hi-hat pedals in place, I shifted my attention over to the brain. I did learn the hard way that it's a lot easier to connect the cable for the pads first, and then seat the brain into the mount, but after figuring that out, I could then start the process of connecting each cable end to each corresponding pad, which are all labeled on colored sleeves right next to the input connector. Once everything was plugged in, I then took a few minutes to do some cable management with the included Velcro straps. Lastly, I took some time to plug in all the various cables to the brain for power, USB connectivity, headphones, and the audio output. But after that, it was finally time to play. So after exploring some of the stock sounds, I experimented a little with some of the other features like play-along tracks and the coaching mode inside the sound module. For me, these features don't serve a ton of value, but it's nice to have some of these tools here for more inexperienced players, I guess, so I won't say anything bad about it. If you asked me though, I'd much rather use the audio in jack to connect a phone or computer and play along to actual songs with a bit higher musicality. The USB connectivity is great if you feel like avoiding the stock sounds in the sound module and have the ability to trigger sounds from a DAW like I did here in Logic Pro. All in all, I think this set has a lot of great features, and overall, it performs well. I really like the drum pads, as they feel really great to play on and provide a similar experience to playing on acoustic drums, but my only critique is that having all 4 pads be the same size makes the snare pad feel quite small in comparison. I'd love it if just that one drum was a bit larger to make the feeling between all of the drums have the same sort of scale as an acoustic kit. The cymbal pads performed well, and if I'm being honest, I think I might prefer this setup with the standalone hi-hat pad and then a separate foot controller. Even on most of the high-end electric kits I've played, I've struggled to get the hi-hat to have the nuance of real hi-hats, so I'm already approaching the electronic drums differently. I think the kick tower is probably one of the high points of this kit, and that's only made even better by the quality of the bass drum pedal that comes included. The frame that this entire kit sits on does have a little bit of wobble to it, and I think that could be improved on by having 2 horizontal rack bars in each of the 3 walls. With that said, if the option was to pay more or leave as is, I'd probably choose the cost-saving measure as well. For the most part, I like the sound module, and I really appreciate having the faders to very easily adjust the levels of the different voices within each kit. The stock sounds included are a nice start, but there were a number of kits in the bank of 50 or so that I felt like had some bizarre tones to them and didn't seem very useful in terms of drumming. They were almost more like sound effect style samples. Finally, my last critique of this set is that it doesn't come with headphones or a throne, so in reality it's not a true one-stop purchase in terms of getting everything you'd need to get started. I'm not sure I'd consider that a deal breaker though, because this isn't an entry-level kit. It's definitely in the mid-tier of what Donner offers, so I think the customer that Donner is pushing this towards is probably somebody who might already have these accessories at their disposal. I have a number of students who have to play on electric kits for a variety of different reasons, and I'd probably struggle to recommend this specific model to one of them due to the price point, but Donner does offer a variety of other kits in different price tiers that I believe could be a nice start for somebody trying to get into drums. I do think this specific model could be great for a few of my musician friends who'd like to have a drum set at home, but may not have the space for a full acoustic kit, or can't deal with the volume that comes along with that. Overall, I was really impressed with this kit, and I think Donner has really stepped up their game in the music instrument field over the last few years. I'm excited to see their growth as they continue to improve and evolve this market they've carved out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this kit, so leave a comment down below. And if you're considering picking one of these up for yourself, I'll have some exclusive links and promo codes in the description, which you can use to support my channel and save a few bucks along the way. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my future video releases. And until next time, thanks.